Line analysis. So first of all, we can see a summary gist of the poem. That is, the poem Home Burial depicts the familiar situation and dilemma of two characters, a husband and wife, who have recently buried their child. So they lost their child. They cope with grief by very differently. Both have different approach towards dealing with the situation. But the problem is that they can't understand or respect each other's mourning process. They argue upon their differences, which results in exchanging hurtful comments in the process. By the poem's conclusion, the title has taken one double meaning, referring not only to the grave of the couple's dead son, but to the likely death of their love and their marriage. So, that is the summary of the poem. Now we can go to the poem. This is a very long poem. Home burial. He saw her from the bottom of the stairs before she saw him. She was starting down, looking back over her shoulder at some figure. She took a doubtful step and then undid it to raise herself and look again. He spoke, advancing towards her. What is it you see from up there always? For I want to know. She turned and sank upon her skirts at that, and her face changed from terrified to dull. So, there is a husband and wife, as you can see in this picture image. There is a husband and wife. The husband is standing at the bottom of the stairs, and then the lady is standing above. Now she is staring at something. So the husband inquires. Okay, that is, the man saw his wife at the top of the stairs from where he was standing down at the foot before she could see him. Amy. So the wife's name is Amy. We can see that this Amy. He addresses her in between. So we can, in the poem, we can see that her name is Amy. The wife was beginning to descend, but looked back over her shoulder at something that upset her. She took a step down hesitantly, but then stepped right back up to look again at what she had been looking at before. Her husband said while walking up the stairs towards her, "What are you always looking at from the window up there? I want to know." His wife turned towards him toward like suddenly she turns towards him and sat down on the steps, her skirt ballooning around her, and her expression shifted from fear to blankness, become dull. Her husband repeated himself, stalling for time. "What do you see up there?" That is the question asked by the husband. Now the poem. He said to gain time, "What is it you see?" Mounting until she covered under him. "I will find out now. You must tell me, dear." She, in her place, refused him any help. With the least stiffening of her neck and silence, she let him look, sure that he wouldn't see. Blind creature! And a while he didn't see. But at last he murmured, "Oh," and again, "Oh." "What is it?" "What?" she said. "Just that I see." "You don't," she challenged. "Tell me what it is." So now the husband asks her again as to what it is that she looks at. He mounts the stairs just above her and asks her to tell him about the object because he will anyhow find it out. Amy remains silent and does not help him by telling him. She lets him look and find for himself, thinking that he would not be able to see or find what it was that she had or she has kept looking at. Thinking him to be blind to her feelings and troubles, she is sure that he cannot find anything. For a moment, the husband cannot see anything. But then he murmurs, "Oh," as if to indicate that he has found it out. Ami asks what it is, and husband says that now we can see it. So Amy, her the wife, she thinks that her husband cannot understand her feelings, so she is looking at something, and her husband is not going to find it out. But suddenly, when he says that, oh, he realize there is a the reaction was a oh, that means that he realized what she was looking at. He recognized the spot. Amy remarks to him that he cannot find out what is there she looks at and challenges him to tell her if he knows what he has found out. The wonder is I didn't see at once. The husband, he says that. The wonder is I didn't see at once. I never noticed it from here before. I must be wanted to it. That's the reason. The little graveyard where my people are. So small the window frames the whole of it. Not so much larger than a bedroom, is it? There are three stones of slate and one of marble. Broad shouldered little slabs, there is the sunlight on the side hill. We have not to mind those, but I understand. It is not the stones, but the child's mount. Don't, she cried. Suddenly she reacted. Stop it. Stop right there. Okay, because now he is talking, he realizes that she looks out towards the family graveyard, and he says something, that is, he realizes that she is not looking at the different tombstones, that is three stones of slate and one of marble, but her focus is on a small graveyard but the child's mouth. So she can't bear it. So she says that, don't, stop it. So the husband says to Amy that it is a surprising thing that he could not guess earlier what it was she looked at, since he was accustomed to looking at the object that is wanted. He is wanted, or he is used with these kind of things. That's an everyday sight for him. And other things, he never noticed it particularly. It was a small graveyard and burial plot where his people were buried. The graveyard is so small that the whole of it can be seen through the window. It is not larger than a bedroom. There are three stones of slate and one of marble. Broad shouldered little slabs there in the sunlight on the side hill. However, they need not pay attention to these. It is not these gravestones, remarks the husband, but the child's mound, or the heap of stones and earth meant to be the grave of the child that she keeps looking at. At this, Amy cries to him not to talk about or mention the child's grave. Don't എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് അവിടെ നിർത്താൻ പറയുന്നുണ്ട് Amy. She withdrew, shrinking from beneath his arm that rested on the banister, and slid downstairs. Now she is going downstairs, and turned on him with such a daunting look. He said twice over before he knew himself. Can't a man speak of his own child he has lost? Not you. Oh, where is my hat? Oh, I don't need it. I must get out of here. I must get air. I don't know rightly whether any man can. Now, Amy slips from beneath the arms of her husband that are resting on the railings and starts going downstairs. As we know that at the beginning of the poem, the lady was standing on the top of the stairs and he was standing at the bottom of the stairs. Now, while this communication or conversation happened, he mounted the stairs, and now what happens is that she and he, both of them were standing on the uh, same stairs or same steps. But now the wife is really irritated, so she just tried to get away from him. How? By she slips beneath his arms. Okay, she turns to him and casts a fearful glance at him. As she goes down, she just turned and gave a fearful glance at him. He asks her twice whether a man is not entitled to speak about his own dead child. Amy replies that at least he has no such right. Then she asks about her hat and tells her husband that she was to go out of that place so as to get air in the open. So she feels so much congested and irritated. She wants to go get out at that moment itself. She also remarks that she does not definitely know whether any insensitive man has a right to talk about this matter. So, Amy, the wife, considers her husband as an insensitive man who just take these kind of things lightly. Okay, Amy, don't go to someone else this time. So, from this point, we can understand that we identified that her name, the wife's name is Amy, Don't go to someone else this time. Listen to me. I won't come down the stairs. Now he sat and fixed his chin between his fists. There is something I should like to ask you, dear. You don't know how to ask it. അപ്പോൾ വൈഫ് പറയാണ് തിരിച്ച്, യു ഡോണ്ട് നോ ഹൗ ടു ആസ്ക് ഇറ്റ് ഡിയർ. ഹെൽപ്പ് മീ ദെൻ. ഹെൽപ്പ് മീ ദെൻ. എനിക്കറിയില്ലെങ്കിൽ ഹെൽപ്പ് മീ ദെൻ. ഹെർ ഫിംഗേഴ്സ്, as a reaction, her fingers moved the latch for all reply. The husband asked Amy not to go to anyone else, but to listen to him, saying that he will not come down the stairs. He sits there, putting his chin between his fists. He tells her that he wants to ask her something. Amy replies that he does not know how to ask it. The husband asks her to help him do it. Instead of responding to his request, Amy moves to the door and moves the latch as if to go out. My words are nearly always an offense. The husband continues his dialogues. My words are nearly always an offense. I don't know how to speak of anything so as to please you, but I might be taught I should suppose. I can't say I see how. A man must partly give up being a man with woman folk. We could have some arrangement by which I would bind myself to keep hands off anything special you are a mind to name. Though I don't like such things, twixt those that love, two that don't love can't live together without them, but two that do can't live together with them. So here the husband goes on. He talks about his feelings about the way how he is being treated by his wife. The husband remarks to Amy that his words seem to offend her and that he does not know how to speak in a way or use the words in such a way as to please her. But he can, he says, learn how to do so. He cannot say that he understands all the things just now. Sometimes a man must stop to behave like a man with a woman in a hardy, manly manner and be sensitive enough to appreciate her feelings. He further suggests that the husband and the wife, should have an arrangement under which the husband should not try to know anything that the wife does not want to tell him about. Those who love each other do not need have any such secrets between them, but those who do not love cannot live together without having some secrets between them and something to hide from each other. അപ്പോൾ ഇതിൽ നമുക്ക് കാണാം ഈ ഒരു ലാസ്റ്റ് സെൻറ്റൻസിൽ, that is he says that though I don't like such things between those that love, ഇങ്ങനത്തെ സീക്രട്ടുകളൊന്നും വേണ്ട. ടു ദാറ്റ് ഡോണ്ട് ലവ് കാൺ ലിവ് ടുഗെദർ വിത്തൗട്ട് ദം. എന്തായാലും സ്നേഹിക്കുന്ന രണ്ട് പേർക്ക് അതില്ലാതെ ജീവിക്കാൻ, സീക്രട്സ് ഒന്നും ഇല്ലാതെ പറ്റില്ല. ബട്ട് ടു ദാറ്റ് ഡോണ്ട് that do can't live together with them. പക്ഷേ അതേസമയം എങ്ങനെയാണ്? But those who do not love cannot live together without having some secrets between them and something to hide from each other. So that is the situation. The wife feels that the husband is very rude and insensitive and he is not enough compassionate. She moved the latch a little. Don't വൈഫിനെ സമാധാനിപ്പിക്കാനായിട്ടില്ല. She moved the latch a little. Don't go. Don't carry it to someone else this time. അപ്പോൾ ഹസ്ബൻഡ് അതിനോട് റിയാക്ട് ചെയ്ത് പറയാണ്, don't go. Don't carry it to someone else this time. Tell me about it if it's something human. Let me into your grief. I'm not so much unlike other folks as you're standing there apart would make me out. Give me my chance. I do think though you overdo it a little. What was it brought you up to think it the thing to take your mother loss of a first child so inconsolably in the face of love? You would think his memory might be satisfied. Now the husband continues. He says that don't go to someone else. Share your grief with me. Let me try to help you. But what is the point in being so sad about your dead child? Because the child was their first child and it was a boy. So from these lines we can understand that it was their only child plus it was a boy. To take your mother loss of a first child so inconsolably, ആശ്വസിപ്പിക്കാൻ പറ്റാത്ത രീതിയിൽ എന്തിനാണ് എടുക്കുന്നത്, നീ കുറച്ച് ഓവർഡു ചെയ്യുന്നില്ലേ എന്ന് ചോദിക്കുകയാണ്. ദ ഫേസ് ഓഫ് ലവ്. യു വുഡ് തിങ്ക്, അങ്ങനെ കരുതുന്നുണ്ടോ? ഹിസ് മെമ്മറി മൈറ്റ് ബി സാറ്റിസ്ഫൈഡ്. ഹിസ് എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ ചൈൽഡിൻ്റെ. ഓക്കെ, Amy moves the latch a little to open the door. Her husband entreats her not to go to tell or consult somebody else about her trouble. He asks her to tell him about it and let him share it. He explained to her that he is not different from other people, but if she keeps herself aloof from him, he will be proved to be so. He requests her to give him a chance to prove the sincerity of his grief over the child's death, although she may be feeling it more than he. Because mother's loss. He asks her what it is that has made her take the loss of her child so inconsolably, in spite of the love he bears for her, which may compensate for the loss and make her satisfied. ഞാൻ നിന്നതിന് അത്രയും നിന്നെ സ്നേഹിക്കുന്നില്ല, ഞാൻ അത്രയും മനസ്സിലാക്കുന്നില്ല, എന്തുകൊണ്ട് നിനക്ക് പറ്റുന്നില്ല എന്ന് ചോദിക്കുകയാണ്. അപ്പോൾ അതിനെ റിയാക്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നത് വൈഫ് ഇങ്ങനെയാണ് റിയാക്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നത്, ദർ യു ഗോ സ്നീറിങ് നൗ, കളിയാക്കുകയാണോ എന്നുള്ള രീതിയിലാണ് ചോദിക്കുന്നത്, പരിഹസിക്കുകയാണോ എന്നുള്ള രീതിയിൽ. Now the husband says, I'm not. You make me angry. I will come down to you. God, what a woman. And it's come to this. It has come to this. A man cannot speak of his own child that is dead. Amy misinterprets her husband's consolatory words and comments that he is mocking her. The husband assures her that he is not doing so. He tells them that he is annoyed with her comment and that he will come down to her to prevent her from going out. Commenting on her bluntness and stubbornness, he remarks what kind of a woman she is, that she does not even allow him to talk about his own dead child. You can't because you don't know how to speak. വൈഫ് പറയാണ്, യു കാണ്ട് ബിക്കോസ് യു ഡോണ്ട് നോ ഹൗ ടു സ്പീക്ക്. ഇഫ് യു ഹാഡ് എനി ഫീലിങ്സ് യു ദാറ്റ് ഡഗ് വിത്ത് യുവർ ഓൺ ഹാൻഡ്. ഹൗ കുഡ് യു? ഹിസ് ലിറ്റിൽ ഗ്രേവ്. I saw you from that very window there, making the gravel leap and leap in air, leap up like that, and land so lightly and roll back down the mount beside the hole. അപ്പോൾ ഇവിടെ നമുക്ക് മനസ്സിലാക്കാം എന്താണ് ഹസ്ബൻഡിനോട് ഇത്രയും അവൾക്ക് ദേഷ്യം ഉണ്ടാവാനുള്ളൊരു കാരണങ്ങൾ അവൾ പറയാണ്, വൈഫ് പറയാണ്. That is, I saw you from that very window there, making the gravel leap in air, leap up like that, and land so lightly, and roll back down the mount beside the hole. I thought, who is that man? I didn't know you. And I crept down the stairs and up the stairs to look again, and still your spade kept lifting. Then you came in. I heard your rumbling voice out in the kitchen, and I don't know why, but I went near to see with my own eyes, as to ensure that he is the person who dug the graveyard. You could sit there with the stains on your shoes of the fresh earth from your own baby's grave and talk about your everyday concerns. You had stood the spade up against the wall. ആ സ്പേഡ് അവിടെ ചാരി വെച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്, outside there in the entry, for I saw it. Wife says that Amy replies that he cannot speak. അവർ ഹസ്ബൻഡ് പറയുന്നുണ്ടല്ലോ, why don't you let me even to speak about മൈ ഡെഡ് ചൈൽഡ് എന്ന് ചോദിക്കുന്നുണ്ടല്ലോ, എന്തുകൊണ്ട് എന്നെ സമ്മതിക്കുന്നില്ല, എൻ്റെ കുട്ടി കൂടിയാണല്ലോ, അപ്പോൾ എന്തുകൊണ്ട് സമ്മതിക്കുന്നില്ല എന്ന് ചോദിക്കുമ്പോൾ എമി പറയുന്നത് എന്താണ്? എമി റിപ്ലൈസ് ദാറ്റ് ഹി കനോട്ട് സ്പീക്ക് അബൌട്ട് ഹിസ് ഓൺ ഡെഡ് ചൈൽഡ് ബിക്കോസ് ഹി ഡസ് നോട്ട് നോ ഹൗ ടു സ്പീക്ക് ടു എക്സ്പ്രസ് ഹിസ് ഗ്രീഫ്. If he had any feelings for the child, how could he, she asks, dig its grave with his own hands? She tells that she herself saw him digging pieces of stones, making them leap in the air and fall down to form to do. She tells him that she asked herself who this man was who was digging the grave. Was he seemed such a strange or an abnormal man to her? She came downstairs again to look at him again, lifting his spade for digging the grave. Then she tells him he comes to the kitchen. അതിനുശേഷം ഒക്കെ കഴിഞ്ഞ് കിച്ചണിലേക്ക് വന്നു. Amy heard his voice and she came there to see him with her own eyes. There he was sitting with his shoes stained and soiled by the fresh earth from his own baby's grave. He was talking about daily routine matters as if nothing important had happened. She saw that he had put his spade outside against the wall in the entrance. Then after hearing all these accusations, he says, I shall love the worst love I ever loved. I am cursed, God, if I don't believe I am cursed. Listening to his wife's brutally accusing words, the husband feels like laughing the worst laugher. That is, he was heartbroken. He remarks that he really believes that he is cursed by his wife. If he does not believe him to be cursed, that will make him feel cursed. I can repeat that. Now the wife continues. I can repeat the very words you were saying. What was he saying? That is, 3 foggy mornings and one rainy day will rot the best birch fence a man can build. Think of it. Talk like that at such a time. What had how long it takes a birch rot to do with what was in the darkened parlor? You couldn't care. The nearest friends can go with anyone to death. Come so far short they might as well not try to go at all. No, from the time when one is sick to death, one is alone, and he dies more alone. Friends make pretense of following to the grave, but before one is in it, their minds are turned and making the best of their wa- way back to life and living people and things they understand. But the world's evil. I won't have grief, so if I can change it, oh, I won't, I won't. The wife is complaining. Amy tells her husband that she can repeat the words spoken by him at that time to console her. He had said then that 3 foggy mornings and one rainy day can damage or rot the best and strongest birch fence that a man may have set up. So very trivial things. After burying his child, he returns to to the house, and while he was sitting there, he was talking about very casual things, very casual matters like what 3 foggy mornings and one rainy day can damage any strong birch fence. That is, even the greatest grief can be forgotten with the passage of time. Amy says that she is surprised to see how a man could talk about the damage to birch fences, especially in a room where there are no such fences. In fact, it is meant that he did not care for the death of his child. So, that time they have this darkened parlor, so there is a special room to mourn the death of those people. So he was sitting there, he was there. The house is completely filled with this sadness and grief, but he was talking like a very normal person. So from that she concluded that her husband doesn't care about the child's death. This meant that he did not care for the death of his child. Disgusted over the way of the world and the behavior of her husband, Amy remarks that even the closest friend do not mourn a man's death long and deeply enough. Their sorrow over death is so short lived that they might as well not feel it at all. From the time a man falls ill and he is confined to bed, he remains alone, and when he dies, he is all the more alone. Friends follow him to the grave only for show or social decorum, and before he is buried in it, their minds turn away from the dead and they begin thinking about their worldly affairs and about living people around them, or about the things they understand or are concerned with in life. All grief is thus short lived. Amy regards such behavior of the world as evil. She says that if it lies in her power, she will not allow grief to be so short lived. ഇത്ര പെട്ടെന്ന് മറക്കാവുന്ന അല്ലെങ്കിൽ മറന്നു പോകുന്ന ഒരു സംഭവമാക്കി ആ ഗ്രീഫ് സാഡ്നെസ് എന്ന് പറയുന്ന സിറ്റുവേഷൻ അതിനെ മാറ്റില്ലായിരുന്നു ഇഫ് ഇറ്റ് വാസ് അണ്ടർ ഹർ പവർ. ദർ യു ഹാവ് സെഡ് ഇറ്റ് ഓൾ ആൻഡ് യു ഫീൽ ബെറ്റർ. അപ്പോൾ ഹസ്ബൻഡ് പറയണ ദർ യു ഹാവ് സെഡ് ഇറ്റ് ഓൾ ആൻഡ് യു ഫീൽ ബെറ്റർ. ഇപ്പോൾ ഒക്കെ പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞപ്പോൾ ഒരു ആശ്വാസമല്ലേ, യു ഫീൽ ബെറ്റർ. യു വോണ്ട് ഗോ നൗ. You are crying. Close the door. The heart has gone out of it. Why keep it up? Amy, there is someone coming down the road. You think the talk is all? I must go somewhere out of this house. How can I make you? അപ്പോൾ ഹസ്ബൻഡ് പറയുന്നത് എന്താണ്, ഇനിയിപ്പോൾ സംസാരിച്ചില്ലേ, കുറച്ച് ആശ്വാസമായില്ലേ, ഇനി ആളുകൾ കാണും, ആ ഡോർ അടക്കൂ, ആളുകൾ കാണും നീ ഇങ്ങനെ കരഞ്ഞ് ഇരിക്കുന്നത് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ വിഷമിച്ചിരിക്കുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ അതിന് വൈഫ് പറയുന്നത് എന്താണ്, യു തിങ്ക് ദ ടോക്ക് ഈസ് ഓൾ. ഈസ് ഇറ്റ് ഇനഫ്? That is, your talk is enough, or my talk is enough? That if I say something, that do you think that that is enough to console me, to deal with my my grief. I must go somewhere out of this house. How can I make you? How can I make you understand? എനിക്ക് അവിടെ സ്റ്റോപ്പ് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്. If you do, അതായത് ഹസ്ബൻഡ് പറയാണ് if you do. So now she was opening the door wider. Where do you mean to go? First tell me that. I will follow and bring you back by force. I will എന്ന് പറയാണ് ഹസ്ബൻഡ്. Okay, so that is the poem. Having listened to Amy's statements, her husband remarks that since she has expressed her views, she must feel better and that she should not go out now. He asks her to close the door because he does not want somebody who is coming down the road to see her in that condition. But Amy is not satisfied with the mere talk or words of her husband since she has been disgusted by his behavior. She says she must go out somewhere and she opens the door to do so. The husband asks her where she intends to go. He tells her to understand that if she goes out, he will follow her back to bring her back even forcibly. The poem ends here. So that is the conversation between a husband and wife. Both are trying to cope up with their child's loss, but unfortunately